Hello, hello, hello. Do we have some audio coming through now? Can't hear. I'm going to give it, I know there's a little bit of a delay, so let me know. I'm seeing some audio levels here coming up. So let me just give this a second and let me know if you guys can hear or not in the chat. You can hear? All righty. Yes. Love it. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining in, and thank you for your patience as we got that sorted out. As I was mentioning, and you wouldn't have heard, today we have a very special creator hack. We are going to be going through how to take all of the hard work that you've put in, your audience that you've built, your following, your contacts, whatever that may be, and how to turn that into reliable money coming in every month so that you know you always have a predictable source of income coming in. And now, another thing, which is probably why the audio wasn't working in the beginning there. This was supposed to be myself and the lovely Paulina presenting today. Unfortunately, she's under the weather today, so I will do my best Paulina impersonation. You know, maybe I'll grab a wig or something, throw it on, but it is just me riding solo today. So I appreciate your patience as we sorted out that initial little hiccup there. Okay, so let's jump into this, shall we? Let's show you the slide here. So as I mentioned, this is all about going from audience to money every month, right? The simplest, easiest way to do that. Typically, again, it would be myself and Paulina. I am going to try to fill both roles today. So again, if you can provide me with some patience, I would appreciate it. Okay, so what's on today's agenda? Okay, we've got right up here, why having an audience doesn't equal predictable money, the simplest membership setup that you can do that actually works, and then how to actually turn this into something real inside of membership.io. Okay, so I'm going to be walking you through all the steps to get the setup, get it going, all of that, and then we'll have a little Q&A at the end if you guys are still unsure of anything. Okay, so let me hit over here. Okay, so why isn't your audience paying you monthly, right? You've done all this work, you've built this following, you've built awareness and exposure and attention, right? But that doesn't always equate to consistent income coming in, especially if you're in the creator world. And real quick, before I dive into this, some of you may have already been on our co-founder, Stu McLaren, one of his most recent webinars that he's been running. It is this one right here. Okay, so from followers to income, it is similar topics. So there will be a little bit, you might see some of the things kind of overlapping a tiny bit, but it is not the same presentation. Okay, this isn't a repeat or anything like that. They are two different topics, two different angles that we're sort of coming at this from. If you haven't been on that, don't worry, you're not going to be behind or feel like things are left out. I'm going to go over everything for you here, and then at the end of this, I'll actually show you where you can go if you want to check out Stu's presentation on this as well, because it's very, very valuable information, and basically just goes a lot deeper into what the current issues are for creators, small businesses, entrepreneurs, all of those sort of things, and how to tackle them in the best way to generate income from your following, right? So just wanted to point that out. If if you're someone who had already been on Stu's and you're like, wait, isn't this kind of the same thing? Today is going to be a lot more of the practical and tactical implementations. So if you have been on Stu's, it'll be a really good supplement to his presentation on how to actually implement this and get it started, get it rolling inside of membership.io. Okay, so let's jump over here. And before I get into all the details, the weeds and stuff, let's just make sure that you're in the right place. So this is for someone who has already built an audience of around 3,000 followers or more, okay? If you're still in the beginning stages, building your audience, building your awareness, all of those sort of things, feel free to stick on. It's a free presentation and, you can plan for the future. But we do also have several other creator hacks on the YouTube channel right here that you can go through, as well as resources on our website, help.membership.io. And you can go through those, and, those will probably be a lot more readily applicable to where you're at right now. Okay, so this is for people who have already built somewhat of a following or an audience. You've got something to share, you've got some value, and now you want to take that attention and convert it into money that's coming in every month. Okay, so in addition to that, you've got people engaging too, right? It's not like you just bought 3,000 followers on some fake following thing and you have no engagement on your posts. You should have, people commenting regularly, some replies, DMs coming in, people asking questions, that sort of thing. And if you're tired of unpredictable income, this is for you. Okay. So attention isn't the problem, right? Like, you've already built the attention, you've built the following, and, you have people paying attention to what you're saying, but your income still feels inconsistent, right? So the good news is that it isn't necessarily like a value issue. It's not the content necessarily, what you're presenting. It's all just about structure and how you're monetizing that attention. And that's what today is going to be all about. Okay. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. It is off to the side for me, so I'll do my best to answer them all towards the end, or someone in the on our team will try to help you out and jump in there as well. Okay, just wanted to point that out. So, income feels inconsistent. You've built the attention, but it's it's still a struggle, right? So where do we go from here? How do we fix this? In order to understand that, we got to take a look at where the creator economy is, what the opportunity is, what the problems are, all those sort of things. So here is the reality. There is more opportunity than there has ever been in the creator economy. It's valued at over $250 billion, so $250 billion, the industry as a whole, from creators. And this is up from just $210 billion in 2024. Okay, so within a 1 year time span, 1.5 years, it's gone up $40 billion, right? So there is a plethora of opportunity there. And it's really sort of kicked off ever since, 2020. That's when, things have really, really escalated in terms of the creator economy and making money online and all of those things. Obviously, it's always been a thing, but that is when it really started skyrocketing. Now, here is the reality though, right? Like, most creators still earn very inconsistent or modest income. So there was a report done here, basically just looking at what creators actually earn on average, right? And so the median creator income is only $400 a month. But that's looking at 127 million creators worldwide. So that's taking into account people of all sizes and all of those things. And a lot of this is largely due to where the creators are generating their income, right? So typically creators rely the most heavily on brand deals as, a source of revenue, a source of income coming in. Sponsored posts, again, it's, Lululemon or Nike or something hits you up and they're like, hey, if you post about our new shorts, we'll give you $100 or whatever it may be, right? Another option is affiliate links, right? And that's where, people talk about, oh, here's my whole setup for this room. If you guys like this picture over here, you can click my Amazon link down below and that'll take you there. And then you get a little cut, a commission if, people go through your link to buy those products and those things, right? So that's how most creators earn their income. And then the last is typically ad revenue, right? So that's, pre-roll, mid-roll ads, things on streaming platforms, on YouTube, any of those things, right? They pull in a bit of revenue based on the viewership that you're able to attain. Now, the issue with all of those is they're all external sources of income, right? They're all outside of your own control. Now let me just grab a sip of water here. And let's get into, so this is kind of like the issue, right? This is the problem, that most creators are relying on these sort of external revenue sources, and it's not something they own. It's not something they can necessarily control. and that is why income seems so inconsistent, and you go through, this roller coaster where one month you have an awesome month. Maybe you had a bunch of brand deals or sponsored posts and you brought in a ton. And then the next month it's crickets, and, all your sponsored posts and things dry up, and you're relying on some trickles of ad revenue and affiliate links. So how do we solve for that? Right? You don't need a huge audience. Okay. You don't need 1 million followers. You don't need even tens of thousands. And that's why we said at the beginning here, if you have just around 3,000, somewhere in that ballpark, you have enough to really start building something serious. There is creators out there with millions of followers that struggle to make a full-time income from their content alone because of, again, what we talked about on the last slide, how they're structuring, how they're bringing in their source of revenue. All you need, though, is a small group of the right people. There is other creators that only have, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 followers, and they're bringing in multiple 6 figures, 7 figures sometimes through their other offerings. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. And just to kind of put this into perspective, let's do a little bit of math here. Okay, you can see I put on my glasses there. I've got the chalkboard behind me. I've been doing some equations. Let's just do some simple math. Let's say you have 3,000 followers, right? If you get just 1%, okay, 1% of those followers, that's 30 people, right? 30 people, even with a very, modest price of $29 a month, if you can offer some sort of ongoing service that brings in $29 a month, that's an extra $10,000 every year, right? And that's just from 1% with one offer at less than $1 per day, right? So that's the power of this. If you think about this, like, you don't need thousands or tens of thousands or millions of people. 30 people can make a big difference, right? 30 people paying less than $1 a day could, pay for maybe part of your mortgage, maybe a car payment, maybe, your groceries for the month, right? Whatever that may be. It goes to show that all you need is a tiny percentage of your following, the right people, and something that you can generate money from on a recurring basis. Okay. And here's why people will actually pay monthly. I saw a post just the other day from Cody Sanchez. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, but she is a big female personality in the online business space. And she was talking about, the new sort of like millennial generations and Gen Z and all these things, how everyone has kind of shifted to wanting to have a piece of more. And that's kind of led to people wanting to rent more things, right? Leasing car payments, leasing whatever, renting their apartments so that they can be in a better location, closer to, fun things going on, all of that sort of stuff. And that's just the reality of, where things are at. But why do people want to pay monthly for things? Especially if it's in the sort of information space. They want ongoing help, consistent progress, and they want connection, right? Like in the early days of the internet, information was kind of scarce, especially actual useful, practical information. You had to dig through a lot of crappy sources, and you scrub through tons of books and do a bunch of research and all of this sort of stuff. Today, that's not the case, right? With AI, with ChatGPT, with Claude, with Gemini, with whatever, with the AI responses built right into Google, you have way more information at your fingertips than you could possibly know what to do with, right? You can type in how to do XYZ and it'll give you a 10-step blueprint and a plan and, a checklist to go through it. So people don't need the information, right? It doesn't have the same value. But what they need is guidance. They need someone who's been there, who's done that, who's actually experienced it, because there's a big difference between, reading an action plan and a blueprint for, this is how you do XYZ, and someone who's actually gone and done it and knows the nuances and the differences and, where to focus your efforts more or less. There is a lot of variance and subjectivity and things like that play into successful businesses and successful services and all of these things, right? So they want that guidance. They want to have some ongoing help, someone that they can, lean to as a mentor, or, have connection with other people going through the same thing. Those are the things that are really setting the difference. And that's sort of the direction where everything is heading. Traditional, just educational style courses and info products that are just giving you the information. Anyone can ChatGPT that now, right? Anyone can look that up on Claude or whatever AI they want to use. So that's not where the value comes from. Now it comes from the connection, from the access, from the accountability and support that you can provide inside of something like a membership or a community or something that they would be willing to pay ongoing for, okay? So that's where this is headed. That is how you can go from the unpredictable roller coaster of brand deals and sponsored posts and things like that as a creator and start bringing something consistently in the door every single month on repeat. And then each month, you're not starting back at zero, right? Like in traditional product sales or things like that, if you sell $10,000 worth of shirts, then the next month, you're starting at zero and you got to go sell another $10,000 worth of shirts to keep that up, right? Whereas with the membership, if you've got 30 people from that prior example paying you $30 a month, $1 a day, then the next month you're starting out with those 30 people, or maybe 3 or 5 drop off, right? You're still starting with that base. So say the next month being more conservative, because when you implement proper retention techniques and strategies that Stu could help you out with, or us at the membership.io team, you don't have that many people dropping off each month. But let's say, devil's advocate, you have 5 people drop off. That means the second month you're starting at 25 people. And maybe the second month is not as consistent. Maybe you don't bring in another 30 people. Maybe you only bring in 25. That still puts you at 50 people by month 2, right? And so it compounds month over month. And that's how you're able to take a modest initial idea and build it into something substantial that you can rely on and count on month after month. And it gets to a point where, it starts to help build itself, especially with the community aspects and all of those things. So let's continue on here. What is the simplest membership structure? How do we actually set this up? Most people hear the word, membership or subscription or ongoing payments for things, and they think of, they kind of spiral out and they're like, I can't think of a year's worth of content ahead. I don't know what I'm going to talk about every week. I don't know how I could keep up with all the demands that would come from a membership. You can keep it super, super simple. To be honest, you can even basically outsource all of the actual content for this if you would like. So let's go through this. So we've got one monthly live call. This could be yourself, teaching some high level workshop style offer and, breaking down your educational components with it and providing your own experiences and stories and that sort of thing. Or you could bring in experts. You could be the curator, right? The host. And you could be the one asking the expert on the particular topic, the questions, and then sharing that experience and their responses with your audience, with your community, right? And that would be the second deliverable for this, is a private community, okay? All you'd need is one monthly live call, one private community, and one clear promise. Okay, that's how simple it can be. And like I said, you don't even have to necessarily be the expert. You could be someone who's, just a few steps ahead of someone who's a beginner, for example, right? And maybe you're a few steps ahead. You've, developed relationships, and you're able to get in touch with some people who are further ahead than you, and you want to be able to learn from them and then also share that with your private community, with your members. And so you can reach out, you can establish these connections and then say, hey, would love to feature you in such and such. If you'd hop on a call with me, you do a call with them, they're sharing their expertise with your audience. You get the borrowed influence from that expert that's coming in and talking and sharing and delivering value. And you don't necessarily even have to be the one coming up with the content every month. Okay. Is that starting to make sense? Are people, are you getting that? Does that make sense? Like, you don't have to be the go-to expert. You don't have to be number one in the world. You can simply create a space where you bring in experts, you house a private community where people going through the same thing can learn from one another, can discuss with one another, can network, can, build and communicate and build connections with one another. And you focus it all around one promise. So whatever that value is that you're deciding to provide, or whatever your area of expertise is, or your skill that you're teaching, whether that's art or paint or playing the guitar or what have you, right? Or maybe you're solving someone's relationship issues and are offering guidance or therapy type things. Like, there's so many different applications. There's so many different niches. We have thousands and thousands of different types of memberships inside of membership.io. So if you have a niche and you've been able to build an audience of 3,000 plus around whatever your area of focus is, then there's a way to monetize that and create a community around it, and start delivering a membership experience that people would happily pay monthly to be a part of, right? It doesn't have to be super complicated, and it doesn't have to be this overwhelming mega calendar of content that you have to think about spinning up every week, right? It can be a lot more simple. So just remember the KISS acronym, keep it stupid simple, and you'll be good. Okay, so that is the information side of this. Now, how do we actually go about implementing it? Let's dive in. So if you already have a membership.io account, or if not, I'm just going to walk you through it here, and then you can decide if it's something that you want to implement yourself as well. Let me just grab a sip of water, and then let's get into this slide here. Okay, so we are going to jump in here. So let's get clear on the membership deliverables. We already kind of discussed this. So let's say you are offering a monthly guest expert call and a private community. Those are your two deliverables for your membership, right? It's not super complicated, very simple, very straightforward. And let's say for starting out, you're offering a founding member price. This is your very first people who might be interested in this. This is your first reach out to your audience where you're like, hey, I haven't really created this thing yet. I haven't figured out all the details, but this is what I'm thinking of. I'd love it if you would, join on, and I'll provide you with a script and stuff like that later in this presentation, but, some actual messaging of what to say, but, that's kind of the gist of it. And, if you join now, you can get the special founding member price. That's only $29 a month. When it launches, it's going to be $97 a month, $197 a month. It's going to be $12,000 a month, whatever it might be, right? This is just kind of to get your starting members that are literally going to help you build the membership with you, right? So one of the key things that you want to be able to do is interact with your audience, engage with them, and figure out what they actually want. You don't want to go ahead and build out a year's worth of content and then find out that your members don't want any of it, or it's not helpful to them, right? So listen to them, talk to them on a frequent basis, get feedback, and learn what they want and what they don't. And then that'll help you streamline your offer and improve it before you go and do like a full public launch and increase your prices and all that sort of thing. So this is the basic setup here. So let's do it now inside of membership.io. So the first step, you're going to create your hub. using, you can use help from AI. You could do it yourself as well, but this makes it super simple here. Now, bear with me. This part of the presentation was Paulina's. So she was, gracious enough to send me video recordings of kind of going through the steps, and I'm going to do my best to walk you through what's happening and all of that sort of stuff. So if there's, if you still have some questions or things, just again, post them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them. I'm going to try to be my best Paulina here. Okay. So let me kick it over to the full screen slide so that you can see what's happening. And so here, this is our AI hub builder on membership.io. And we're just typing in, I want to create a community called the Plated Lens for food photographers. Okay. And it's going to be food photographers looking to photograph food, right? I think that's what food photographers do. Okay. So then we're also going to write in here, please include monthly expert calls. That was what we talked about, having the guest calls. And you can see there's kind of an autofill there. If you want to do that, that'll add some additional, styling and preferences and stuff like that. But you can build out that prompt, or you can keep it as simple as that. And you can see it's going through creating a hub, creating your brand kit, so your styling, your colors, all of that sort of stuff. And now it has already made your hub. Okay. And this is what it is going to look like once you've set that up. Okay. So you have your discussion space already made here. You've got a welcome message that's already auto-generated from the AI. And you have sort of the bare bones already ready to go just from a single simple prompt. It's pretty slick, right? So next up, we want to customize your community's background and spaces. Okay. So you might want to, the AI might, generate something that you're not particularly fond of, or maybe you want to add some more personality, some brand styling. Maybe you have your own colors and things like that. And if you didn't already prompt that in the AI builder, it's very simple to customize these things and change them. Okay. So let's jump over here. And here you'll see we have the background page here, and we are going to change the background. So we selected an image. We're going to upload a banner image here from the desktop, and it's just some nice food, right? So we're going to hit open, and you'll see that will apply that banner image to the background of your discussion space. You just save it. And then there you have a more styled, more, nice looking discussion space. Okay. Then we are going to actually create some spaces. Okay. So you can have different discussion spaces. We typically recommend creating like a general chat. This is kind of a catch-all where anyone and everyone can discuss between one another. We also recommend creating an announcement space. This is something, a key thing here. If you go to posting permissions, you can select who actually has the permission to post in there. So for something like announcements, you don't want them getting buried. So we selected moderators and owner only there. Those are the only ones who can post in that announcements space. Okay. And it can be pretty much as simple as this. You can just have your all discussions. That's kind of like a catch-all of everything going on. You can have a general chat where people can hang out and discuss things and network. And then you could have your announcements so that if you're doing broadcasts or things like that, you can let everyone know in one space. It keeps it clean, it keeps it separate, and it doesn't get buried by everyone's conversations. Now, also on the left side there, you'll see there's access, right? We adjusted the posting permissions, but there's also the access section. So by default, it's going to say everyone, but you could change that so that you have private. Sorry, I don't know what happened there, but you can change that so that you have private spaces as well. So maybe you have a VIP offer. Maybe you have something like a multiple tiers that you offer, and you only want to have certain spaces for certain tiers of members or things like that. That is where you would set that up as well. Okay. And again, if any of this feels like it's going through too fast, you can always replay this on YouTube. It's going to live on here. So don't worry if you're missing something, you'll be able to watch back through the replay on anything you want to go back through again. So don't sweat that. Okay. So here's some sample community spaces. As we talked about, you got your general chat for the catch-all. You've got your announcements. That's just posts from admins or moderators. And then here we have, photo critiques, because this is a food photography thing, right? And this is just like a photo board of different students sharing their posts, their images, okay? And then once you've done all your styling and your designs, it's gonna look something like this, right? So you've got your rules and things like that on the right. You've got your spaces listed there, your general chat, your announcements, and then you can see people discussing in the middle there, right? And you can reply, you can like, all that good stuff, okay? Now, let's move on. And let's configure your actual content page, okay? So how are you going to get your stuff set up inside of membership.io so that you can actually share, your monthly live calls, your trainings, whatever it may be, deliver your content to your people. So let me switch over to the slide again so that you can see this in action. Okay, so here we are going to pages. We're gonna go over to content here. And this is where you can decide to unpublish. If you're working on something, you don't want it to be public, you can unpublish it there, or you can keep the visibility private. You can add sections in here as well. We always recommend adding this one column section at the top that you can use as sort of a header. So we're gonna select headline there. We're going to update this to content library. So this is where all of your content is gonna live for your membership. Again, you can select your background style. This is just a gradient. You can select different types of gradients to kind of fit your brand and your styling. Again, that's just built in there for easy customization. And we're gonna center the text there as well, okay? Then we have the playlists listed down here. So you could have all of them shown there, or we can do custom and we can select specific playlists. So we're going to select these three here: food photography wins, styling, and editing and post processing. Now it's only showing these three playlists in this content library. Okay, so those are going to be your public. Then within each of the playlists, you're going to have your content. So you can add, these are text-based content. You could have videos, audio, all of that sort of stuff. And then let's just click into one of these. This is what a text-based post is going to look like. So you've got, your rich text formatting, and you can style it however you'd like. And that is basically how you can set up your content library. Okay, so you can customize the columns, the sections. You can select specific playlists that you want to have public or private if you're still building them out. And then you're just going to upload your content inside those playlists. And then that way, anytime someone comes here, they're going to see it's your content library. They're going to have their various playlists that they can go through and all the different content pieces within each playlist. Okay. Hopefully that's all making sense. Everyone's still following along here. And again, this is what it can look like once you've added your branding, made it look all pretty and all of that. Okay. Now, next, we have setting up your payments. Okay. So we already talked about how to create the hub, how to make it look all nice, how to add your content. The only extra step here now is to set up your payments so that you can actually get paid for what you're creating. So it's really simple. We're going to walk you through the process here again. All right. So we're going to come back out of the editor here. We're going to click on payments down on the left there. And then we're going to set up our pricing. Okay. Now, when we first get to this, it's going to show, fill required info. What you'll have to do is just click that button and that will take you to Stripe. You're going to have to set up your details on Stripe and then that will show green once you've set that up. Then we're going to click add price. We're going to add here, it's our founding member pricing. Enter the monthly rate. You could also select monthly and annual. So if you want to do a discounted annual, you can see there $290. They're saving 17% annually. And there you have your pricing set up. Those links there, that's where you can share your registration page. So you have the one on the right there when you're on your actual pricing page, or anytime you're in the back end of your hub in your editor, that little link under the title in the top left, that link is your registration link. So all you have to do, once you've connected your Stripe account, once you've set your pricing there, like we just walked through, you just copy that link, send it out to people, and that's how you can get them in your membership and paying you and registered in your membership. So let's talk about, what do you actually say? right? So you want to invite your audience to join. You went through the 10-minute process that might have been to set up your hub, to make it look pretty, to add your content, and to set up your payments, right? You can do it super quick, or you can take your time and really build out, something pretty and, brand specific. It's totally customizable, but I would say when you're first getting this going, just, do the minimum you need, the minimum required effort, and get your minimum viable product set up so that you can start inviting people and you can validate whether your idea is something that your audience actually wants or if you need to tweak it. Okay, so how do you actually invite someone? What do you say? Let's just walk you through it right here, okay? And again, if you want this, I can copy this into the description of the video after this as well, or you can just screenshot this or pause the video, come back and replay it. Let me actually hide myself so that you can see the full thing here. But this is a sample invite for if you're doing like a social post. This could be like a reel script. This could be a a carousel, an image post, but basically, or it could be like a Facebook update, depending on what platform you're on. But basically, you're just saying, hey, can I share something that I've been working on? For a while, I've been helping whatever audience with what you help with. And I keep seeing the same pattern, the same problems come up. So you describe the problem that your audience faces. You try to make it visceral, make it real, make them feel it. And you go, so I've been thinking, like, what if there was a place where we could describe whatever your solution is, your community, right? What if there's a place where you could learn from the best in the business, or you could, solve XYZ problem, or you had a community of people going through the same thing who can help, it can be there and relate to you and work through it with you, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the thing. I don't have it all figured out yet, and I don't want to build something without feedback. Okay. So you're saying like, this isn't something that's already set in stone. This is just what I'm thinking about. It's not built yet, but I don't want to do it in isolation. I don't want to, be doing the wrong things and not having someone who's experiencing the problems actually giving me feedback on ways that I could help them better. So I'm looking for a handful of founding members who want to help shape this from the beginning. Here's what you'd get as a founding member pricing locked in forever, a direct line to me during the first 90 days, and real input on what we build together. So you're pitching this as a way for them to contribute, as them to help you build this, and to get special pricing as a result of that, okay? If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, drop a comment or DM me the word XYZ, and I'll send you the details. Now, a quick little pro tip with that: if you're someone who doesn't typically get a lot of comments, or you're unsure of how many people are actually going to take you up on this offer, just eliminate the comment below thing. Just tell them to DM you, because then no one knows how many people DM'd you. It could be one person, it could be 0, it could be 9,000, right? But it's not like a public facing thing. So people aren't going to see that you only got one comment from your mom and say, oh, nobody actually wants this, that no one's interested in this, right? If you just tell them to DM you, then you can test as many times as you want. You can send different invites and things like that. And, only you will know how many people actually replied. Okay. So that's just a little pro tip for you now. Okay. And then here is a sample follow-up. Again, this can be as, detailed or not as you'd like, but the main thing with this is just keep it as simple as possible. Just, get over the fear of doing it and just do it, right? So, hey, whatever their name is, thanks for reaching out. Here's a quick version, what it is, one quick short sentence, like a little text message, what you get, a couple little bullet points, what you're thinking of giving for value, the community, expert calls, what have you, the founding member price. And if you want, you can say like, this will go up to XYZ when I open to everyone. So you could say its founding member price is $29, but it is going to go up to $297 when I launch it to everyone else. So you're getting like a mega discount by being one of the first, blah, blah, blah. How to join. Here's the payment link. Again, you can link that. We just set up the hub payments in the last step there. So you copy that link, you paste it there. Any questions before you jump in, send it off to them, and then it's in their court, right? So that's as simple as it can be. All you have to do is make the ask, give them an idea of what you're thinking about creating, and just say that, this isn't built yet. Like, this is something that you want to figure out with them because you want feedback to make sure you're building the most valuable, most impactful thing you possibly can, right? It's not about, being this snake oil salesman and, selling something that doesn't even exist yet that you don't plan on fulfilling. It's about getting validation and ensuring that what you're spending your time, energy, effort, and money and resources into creating is actually something that your audience and your people are going to want. It's something that they find valuable, because what you think might be valuable might be completely different from what your audience actually wants and needs, right? And so this is a really great way to just get it out there and get that feedback right away so that you can either learn or just go out and do it and start building, right? So that is pretty much everything here. I will take a look at some of the questions. If there is anything that hasn't been answered yet, perhaps the team could just send me if there's any that they haven't addressed yet. And I will do my best to answer some of these questions here. Additionally, as I take a look through the questions, if you haven't yet attended Stu's newest presentation, this is an absolute must attend. From followers to income, you're going to discover the 4 ways to monetize your audience and the number 1 way to build predictable income. It's, a lot more detailed than what we were able to cover today. And it's from, the grand master of memberships himself, Stu McLaren. So if you want to go check that out, you can just scan the QR code or visit that link right there, membershipworkshop.com/live. It is completely free. And I believe the next one is coming up on Tuesday, right? So it's less than a week away. Definitely something to check out though. Okay, let me just take a look here. Is there a way to get videos in a playlist to play back to back without clicking play on each video? This is kind of technical. I believe there is an autoplay feature. I'm not 100% on that, to be honest. Maybe someone on the team could jump in and answer that one, but I believe there is an autoplay feature that can keep them going from, one episode to the next. There you go. Carly's on it. Yes, you'll absolutely be able to have your playlist set to autoplay. Easy peasy. There we go. Let me just see. I'm not really seeing any specific questions here that haven't already been addressed. Is all discussions everything from the other spaces? Yes. So that's kind of like a catch-all where you'll see all the public responses from all the spaces. If you have certain like private spaces, then obviously that isn't going to show for people who aren't a part of that private space. But yeah, that is essentially how that would work. And to be honest, it doesn't look like we have that many questions. I must have done an okay job of answering things and trying to make it as clear as possible on this. I really appreciate you all tuning in here and bearing with me as I sorted out the audio. Hopefully I could keep it a little bit entertaining for you, a little bit, I don't know what the word is here, but hopefully, even though we're missing Paulina and we can never replace her, that I did an okay job with that. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in to this month's Creator Hacks. We will have another coming up next month. If you guys have topics or suggestions or things like that that you want to see in these upcoming Creator Hacks, feel free to shoot us an email, help@membership.io, or to comment on our socials and say, hey, I'd love to hear more about this, and we can do more of a deep dive in a future presentation here. Otherwise, we will do something that we know is going to be relevant and helpful to as many of you as possible. And that is it for today's Creator Hack. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Little yay. Alrighty. So that is everything for today. I appreciate you all for tuning in. I hope you guys are staying warm wherever you are. I know there's been crazy weather all over the place. So stay warm. If you wanted to go back through any of this, be sure to just check it out on YouTube. And again, if you want to go check out Stu's presentation that is going to be coming up this Tuesday in 6 days, be sure to scan the QR code here or go to that link. It will be well worth your time. All right. I appreciate you all. Have a great day. Take care.